welcome to Downtown's Coolsville, population us. And before I get started on the video today, I just want to shout out to whomever gave me that poster. It came in the mail. It was addressed to Kate's Takes. My sister told me it's somebody I know, but they want to stay anonymous. So I don't know who it is, but whomever you are, whomever.
It's whomever. No.
I love this poster. I've actually thought about getting this one for a while. This one is so great. This is definitely like top 5 movies, in my opinion. I love this movie, and I love this poster. So shout out to you. Thank you. So for today's video, we're going to obviously talking about the best movie of 2026 so far, possibly the best movie of 2026 that we will get. Project Hail Mary. This movie was amazing. It was the first good movie I saw this year. Nothing else really interested me so far this year. I did watch War Machine on Netflix and that sucked. I was one of the people that read the book way before I even knew about the movie, so I don't hold your applause. I love the book. It was really good, and then the second half where, spoilers, the alien comes in. That's when the book went from good to freaking amazing. Aliens are really cool. I like them.
I like turtles.
The book was great, and the movie was somehow even better. Obviously, the movie was going to have to change a few things that happened in the book. There were a lot of things that they didn't include, a few things that they kind of changed, and there were a lot of things that I think that they changed for the better. Changes that I think slightly enhanced the story and made it a bit more enjoyable. First, gonna talk about the things that were different than the book. Spoilers ahead. Difference number one that I really liked, it was a lot lighter than the book. And I'm not talking in terms of like the science talk and the science jargon. I myself am not something of a scientist, but reading the book, I didn't mind it, and I felt like I could understand all the concepts and everything that they were talking about. So it's not like, oh, the movie needed to not include a lot of science stuff and just really dumb it down for the audience. So I'm not talking about the science stuff. I'm talking about the overall tone and theme of the movie. The book and the movie are handling the same problem, dealing with the same issue of the sun dying and the scientists trying to figure out why. And they need to figure out why one particular sun is not dying, and to figure that out, they have to send 3 astronauts off on a mission where they will not make it back. So it's a suicide mission, and the sun is dying, and the earth is going to die.
We're all gonna die!
It's a very heavy premise. It's a very tough situation, very dark. And the book, compared to the movie, I felt was pretty sad. Pretty depressing. Obviously, these things are very depressing, but the movie did a much better job balancing these heavy issues with a lot of comedy and a lot of humor and a lot of upbeat attitude. Don't get me wrong, the book was definitely a very hopeful and comedic book as well, while also balancing the heavy premise of Earth dying and him being sent on a suicide mission. The movie, however, seemed to dial up that comedy and the lightheartedness of the story just to an extra level. The movie still had very sad and heavy moments where they realized the seriousness of the situation and the threat that they were dealing with. But I found that the movie did a better job balancing out the seriousness and focusing a bit more on making this a fun and happy movie. It was a lot of fun. I've been comparing it to Interstellar in my mind, where Interstellar is also a very serious movie, and it doesn't have a lot of humor or lighthearted characters to really pull the audience out of that really dark theme and situation that they're dealing with. It's a very heavy movie. I don't find it to be a lot of fun. I've watched it once a few years ago, and not much about it is really drawing me towards it to watch it again. I don't want to because I find it just a bit too heavy of a movie. Project Hail Mary, though, I really want to go watch that one again, and I'm planning on it because that one was a lot of fun. And there were a few specific changes that they made that I think helped to add to this more lighthearted tone of the movie. Thing number one, Strat felt more kind. Strat was still a very no-nonsense, strict, and focused character in the movie, but I felt that she was more kind and caring as well. In the book, when Strat is trying to tell Grace that he's going on the mission and he doesn't really have a choice in the matter, she's going to force him to go. The way that I read that part of the book, it felt a bit more sad and like bitter, I guess. It felt like everybody involved was very disappointed and I guess miffed that Grace didn't want to go and was being forced to go. And it seemed like they were a bit more harsh in their treatment towards him. And it felt like there was a heavy emphasis on him being a coward, and everyone was like, you are a coward, but we need you to do this anyway. And compare that to the movie, there was less emphasis on him and his cowardice and more emphasis on the characters believing in him and believing that he would be able to do this and that he would want to do this. Strat was not just forcing him to do it and being very cold-hearted about it, as I kind of felt like she was in the book. In the movie, she was trying really hard to help him to understand, trying to be more kind and careful and delicate about the situation. So it was definitely a more hopeful, more positive outlook on it as compared to the book. And this difference in Strat's character helped to contribute to the more positive and hopeful tone of the movie. And on top of that, another thing is in the book, if you don't know, they give him a drug that will actually wipe out his memory. And in the movie, they didn't do that. I'm pretty sure. I cannot remember any moment where they talked about the drug. It was just like a side effect of him going into the coma that he lost his memory. But in the book, they intentionally wiped his memory just because they did not believe in him to actually do the mission when he woke up. So they were like, we need to wipe your memory so that you forget that you didn't want to be here. But again, in the movie, they didn't do that. They believed in him. So that was one very specific thing that helps this movie feel more upbeat, was just focusing more on, we believe in you, Grace, rather than you're a coward, Grace. Another change that they made that I think helped to make it feel more lighthearted was him not almost killing Rocky. That part of the book was so hard to read. If you don't know what I'm talking about, after they got stuck spinning around and Grace was unable to stop it, so Rocky had to come out of his little bubble, the thing that had his atmosphere that would keep himself from Grace's atmosphere, so he had to remove himself from that, and then he got exposed to Grace's atmosphere, which was very harmful to him. And as soon as Grace recovered and he saw that Rocky was in very poor condition, in the book he did this thing where he tried to remove all this ash from Rocky's lungs, I guess? Not lungs. I don't know what anatomy it was in the book that they described, but he like had this vacuum thing and he tried to suck up this ash from Rocky's body, thinking it was helping him and allowing him to breathe. And then Rocky does recover, and when he does, he explains to Grace that that actually could have almost killed him. That was actually the wrong thing to do. And when I was reading it, I was kind of like, ooh, that's pretty dark. And then also I was like, why was that in the book? Why was that necessary?
Why?
Was it just to emphasize how little Grace understood Rocky as an alien and his anatomy? And was it just to emphasize how unknown this alien is? If so, like, I didn't get it. So I was really glad that they didn't add that, because it was just kind of unnecessary and very sad and difficult. And not that I'm like opposed to sad things. This movie is still, it has sad moments, but just that whole thing about him accidentally almost killing Rocky just seemed a bit much, My sister also pointed out that we don't need that scene, because if that scene was to show that Grace is willing and wanting to save Rocky, we don't need that, because we see later on in the story that Grace is willing to save Rocky, and he's even willing to sacrifice his life on Earth in order to save Rocky. And so that was Grace's real hero moment. We don't need that other scene where he's trying to save Rocky and almost fails and does the wrong thing. So glad that they cut that. And the last change that they made that I think helped it to feel more upbeat and a fun movie was the ending. I wasn't sure if they were going to keep the ending of the book or if they were going to change it and have more of like a typical hero ending where he makes it back to Earth or something and hailed as a hero. They didn't do that. They kept the same ending where he goes back to Arid with Rocky. But the one major change that they did do was they don't end it with him being an old man. In the book, he is on Arid. He's teaching all the other aliens there. But in the movie, he's still young. So you feel like he still has his whole life ahead of him. He can spend more time with his friend Rocky there and still have enough time to make it back to Earth and still have, some of his life on Earth as well. In the book, they end it with him being an old man, and Rocky is like, hey, you can go back to Earth now. And it's like, dude, you're old now. You're probably gonna die on your way there.
Quite ready for another adventure.
At least that's what I felt when I was reading it. So I'm glad that they ended it with him younger. He still has his whole life ahead of him. Felt more, happy and joyful. Another small difference about the ending, when I was reading the book, as far as I can remember, the only thing they describe about him living on Arid was this little house, little room that he had to live in. But in the movie, they're like, no, he has this whole landscape. He's got the beach, he's got this cool fog that he can go walk around in outside. So that was a lot more fun. Oh, also, I'm really glad that they showed that it was Strat herself that got the message. So the ending, very similar to the book, but just felt more sweet than bittersweet. Overall, I think the movie did a much better job adding more elements of humor and hope and really focusing on those things, as well as the seriousness of the situation. Did a much better job balancing that and making it a fun story. I'm glad they didn't make it more like Interstellar, where it just seemed like we can't have fun with this story. It's too serious for fun.
Fun happening? Put a stop to that.
This movie was not afraid to have fun, and I really appreciated that. So those are a few changes to the movie that I really liked. Other things about the movie that I enjoyed. Number one, the music. The movie started in a way that I did not expect. In the book, when he first wakes up, I feel like it's very serious and kind of scary because he's lost his memory and he doesn't know what's going on. And then the movie, I kind of expected them to start out in a very shocking and scary way and trying to disorient the audience because we're finding out that he's in space and he doesn't know what's going on. And so obviously we don't know what's going on and it's really scary. But they started out a bit different with kind of goofy, funny music as he's waking up, and I really like that. And then the tone does change at the very beginning as he's figuring out that he's in space, and it is very serious and a little bit scary, but really fun, really humorous as well. It just showed in that very first scene they were going to do a really good job balancing the humor and the seriousness of this movie. The music throughout the movie was very playful. Music plays a huge part in creating the tone and feeling of a movie, and Daniel Pemberton did a great job making the movie feel fun. And again, my sister made this comparison of comparing this music to the music in Interstellar. We've been comparing it to Interstellar quite a bit, actually. The music in Interstellar is all very loud and very intense. I don't really listen to that soundtrack very often. I listen to a lot of movie soundtracks, and I think Hans Zimmer is a really good composer. The music for that one in particular, though, just all feels very much the same. I don't really like listening to it either because it's just very intense, and I'm just not a fan of it. And I don't want to say that the music in Interstellar is bad. It's just different. It's more intense, while the music in Project Hail Mary is more bright. I've been listening to that soundtrack a lot since I've watched the movie. I think it's a ton of fun. Currently rocking out to the Amaze Amaze track as I edit my video. And then one thing that they didn't change, there were things that they shouldn't have changed and they didn't, was keeping the friendship as a huge element of the movie. I am a huge sucker for one very specific storyline, and it is a boy befriending an alien, or a robot alien, or a dragon. Every single one of these posters that I have up here and paintings is regarding that storyline. In Way of Water, it's Loek and Payakan. How to Train Your Dragon, E.T., The Iron Giant, which is all-time favorite movie of all time. Lost in Space. Every single one of those has that same story, and it is my all-time favorite thing. I just think it's really fun, really wholesome, I really enjoy it. And the friendship in Project Hail Mary is very similar. It's a bit different because he's not a little boy, he's an adult, but it's still the same kind of story, and that's honestly a huge reason why I really like the book. So I'm really glad that they kept the Grace-Rocky friendship as kind of the core / most important relationship in the movie. The one scene where Rocky moves into his ship and they become roommates, and then Grace is talking to the camera, complaining about his new roommate. It is the funniest scene. That just made the whole movie for me. I thought that was great.
Science, save Earth, good plan.
So incredibly grateful that they kept that as an important relationship in the movie. I was extremely disappointed in the live action How to Train Your Dragon, specifically because they did not keep that relationship as the core of the movie, which I just thought was ridiculous and wild that they would cut that relationship down and make it less important in this movie. I've complained about this a lot to family and friends, and nobody agrees with me on this, and I just think it's so bizarre.
Well, why are you boring me? I'm right.
So yeah, that's kind of my overall review of the movie. I loved it. Definitely 5 out of 5 plus a heart, so 6 out of 5 stars. It could possibly be the best movie this year, but we'll see. We still have Spider-Man, Supergirl. I'm excited for those too. I don't know about Doomsday. I don't know. Is anybody excited for Doomsday? I really want to know that because I've talked to a few people about it. People that seem to be very excited for Dune, and I've asked people if they're going to do a double feature, watching Dune and then Doomsday, and all of them have said no, they don't seem interested in Doomsday. Are people excited? Let me know. But more importantly, let me know what you thought about Project Hail Mary. Oh, also, one last thing, not really about the movie, but about the marketing of the movie. Why is nobody else absolutely outraged that Rocky was not added to the posters? If they were going to keep Rocky a surprise and a secret in the marketing, fine, don't add him to the poster. But if you add him to the trailer and he's not going to be a surprise and you already spoiled him to everybody, why not add him to the poster? This is something that's bothered me for a long time. Alien movies never add aliens to the poster. I think that if you want to keep the alien a surprise, that's fine, I'm cool with that. Make posters for after the movie's been released that have the alien on it. And if you already spoiled the alien in the trailers, why are you not adding him to the poster? Nobody else is mad about this. I think somebody else should at least see how ridiculous this is, right? Right, guys? In my opinion, Rocky is definitely the co-star of this movie, and it would be kind of like removing Toothless from How to Train Your Dragon poster and just having Hiccup there. Hiccup's great, sure, but Hiccup is kind of super boring and lame without Toothless. Their friendship is what made the movie. So, same thing with Rocky and Grace, in my opinion. Again, haven't met a single person who agrees with me on this. I'm outraged, though. And I think somebody else should be with me.
You're not with me, then you're my enemy.
Anyway, that's it for me. If you like this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up, baby. I normally don't do that, but I really wanted to say that because of the movie reference. You get it? Get that movie reference?
Thumbs up.
Also, shout out to everybody that helped me put all of this together. My sister and brother helped me hang everything. My sister painted that one for me. My sister-in-law painted that one for me. And then my sister bought me this for Christmas because I really wanted it. So, appreciate it, guys. Thank you. Okay, anyway, bye.